Bear with me a moment. I gotta wait for this thing to pop up so I can turn around. There we go. Take a look, make sure I get it up and going. Mute. There we are, mute. Now I can see what's happening, how everybody's going. So what's happening, everybody? So we're gonna assemble one wheel. I've already assembled the others, as you can see. I went and put these together earlier while it was slow. And what we have is some Vanquish 2.2 tanks in gray with the Slim IFRF Slim IFR ring in orange, using scale bolts, as you can tell, both on the rings and on the hubs. I didn't use any scale bolts on the bolts, 6 bolts holding the thing together because, well, they're in the back. You really don't need them. But yeah, put all scales together. They're 1.9 JConcepts holds running on the 2.2 tanks. Got the 2 rear wheels and the 1 front wheel I still have to finish putting together here. And I figured I'd do that on camera. It's not too hard, but it can be a little tricky. Especially with these 1.9s, because they're, smaller than the 2.2s. You got to do a little pulling and stretching to get things in place. So let me take this thing here, move this strap out the way a little bit, give me a little bit more elbow room here. Now, so you got your 1.9 wheel. I have ProLine memory foams that I had from another set of wheels that I didn't use them in. I put some Crawler Innovations in those ones, I believe. So I got the wheel, 1.9, 2.2 ring, and then my 2.2 rim. Or I should say my 1.9 tire. The first thing you gotta do is stretch the ring inside the tire. And it literally stretch. It's, you gotta pull the tire over top of the ring a little bit and get it up in there. Get it inside. That on. And it's just a matter of pulling and stretching and pulling and getting things in place. Pull the wheel or the tire over the ring. Ring all up in there. Now it's in there. You want to kind of work it back and forth. Make sure your foam's not sticking outside, too far outside the ring or anything. You want it kind of all in there in place. Everything's in good there. Kind of squeeze a little bit. Just kind of put it in place. Now what I do is we got to double check because these are directional. So you can't just throw them on or you may have some backwards. So this is the set of the rears. Which one is it? Okay, it's this one. So as you see, those two are the same. Wheels are all mounted on the same side. Treads going the same way. Now for the other side, let's say this is front, this is rear. This is rear. So you got to do it the opposite way. Because if I didn't do it the opposite way, see, all the treads going the same way. And we got our, faces on the outsides and our insides there. If you didn't do it that way, this tire would be like this. And then you'd be running one tire backwards, one tire forward on one side. That's the front, that's the back. You got front and back in the middle, but your treads are different. So you got to make sure you're directional. So it's a little bit tricky. So we got to look at that. We'll go like this, mount it up, measure it. The beadlock wheel on this one is on this side. So it's going to be on this side, kind of facing it. Because when you put it over here, it'll be facing the way our insides are together. So I always start with, I'm starting with this side because this is the side that's got all the bolt holes in it. This side goes in a little bit easier when you're sitting there putting it in place. So the first thing we got to do is kind of stretch this around. Get the tire, again, back over top of all the wheel. Get her put up in there. Pinch her in, just let her set in there. Do a little wiggling. Now what do? What I do here, because these are 1.9s on 2.2s, you got to kind of work it a little bit so your bead and everything is in the right place. You got to kind of work things around because it's a smaller tire than what it should be. So you need to kind of, get things in place so they set properly. Oh, all I'm doing here is just kind of holding the rim down on the bead lock and then just pulling the tire out a little bit just so the edge of the bead lock, you know, where the bead lock goes in behind, so the edge of it is riding on the edge of the bead lock ring and not pinched up underneath it. Now we're all good there. You know, tires are the opposite way, so we're all good. Flip it over 180 degrees. Now comes a little bit of a trick. You've got your 6 bolt holes. You got to make sure you line it up when you put this in, that your bolt holes are lined up and not mixed, because you're not going to be able to just spin this without twisting the entire tire, because it's going to be gripping on really good, because it is a 1.9 tire going on a 2.2 rim. Got to kind of peel, pull, get it up over top. And when you're doing this, again, you got to want to make sure your holes are all good and lined up. You don't want to pinch it in the wrong spot. You got to get that bead up out of there, at least out from underneath the thing, out from the ring on the inside that we slipped in there first. Let me see, a little wiggle. So if you got to turn it a little bit, you can a little bit just by pulling out and then giving it a slight little pull. And you got to go through and reset everything and make sure everything's laying properly before you start threading screws in. Don't look bad. Give it a light little working here. Make sure all that's pulled out. I'll give you a show what I got going on before I start setting in screws. Okay, we're pretty close. So, if you look, you see the bead. It's kind of hard. Let me kind of pinch it in here. So I'm pulling it. When you see me pulling it, I'm pulling it just about that far, just enough to pull that ring out and then let it ride up on the top, just so you know it's getting in there. You can see the tire is kind of pinched down here. It's because it's a smaller tire for the rim. Same thing on the front. So you just got to kind of work things back and forth a little bit here. Get things kind of set up well. Make sure everything's in place. And then double check your bead all the way around to make sure it's setting smooth and even and everything is flush on the front and back side before you start setting in your bolts. So I put all these pieces in here that I would need to finish this little setup. So let me grab my screw that fell here. I need it. It's going to be this one. A standard size nut or bolt. And you just want to get a couple threads in. You don't want to tighten them, put them in, tighten them down. Put in 3 and then make them into a Y pattern, because these are 6 bolts, so it's not odd. So you're going to go, skip a hole, and then a bolt, and then skip a hole, and then a bolt. And then when you do that, you'll have 3 bolts in, and you'll have 3 holes. So we'll go a third one, skip a hole, and a bolt. Make sure we're threaded in. Okay, and again, we're going to double check, just make sure everything's riding properly. Go ahead and get our other 3 bolts started. Uno. These are stainless steel, so they're not going to be magnetic. A dos. A tres. And now, now I just got it down till I felt tension. Give it a half a turn. Skip a bolt, half a turn, skip a bolt, half a turn. Now go 180 degrees. Jump right 180 degrees to this bolt. Now you're on the other set of 3. Until you're tight, skip a bolt, because that's the one we go. Until you're snug, and then a half turn. Because you got gap underneath the head of the screw you got to take up. There it's touching, half a turn. Again, now jump 180 degrees and do the same thing until you got them all down. Just like you would a regular wheel. You don't want to seat one bolt at a time. You want to seat them all about the same time. So you got to spin it till its slop's gone, and then give it a little bite. After you've done 3, then you got to jump 180 degrees. Now this time I always go backwards on the second one. Go counterclockwise. I tend to go clockwise first, and then counterclockwise the second time, and then repeat. Watching it again. So now we'll go. This time I'll go clockwise. So I'll jump 180 degrees. The other bolt. Give it a couple screws. Skip a bolt. Couple screws. Okay, that one's tight. Skip a bolt. Get in there. There we go. That one's tight. Now I jump 180 degrees. Skip a bolt. Because these ones now I've got them down, I'm almost pretty much tight. So once I take up the slop, it's pretty much there. Okay, that is 6. So I'm going to go through now and tighten them one by one around the regular circle in a clockwise fashion. 1. You just need to make sure they're tight. 2. Get in there. Got to get it lined up right. There it is. 3. 4. 5. 6. Drop our hub on. These are 475 Vanquish hubs, front and back. Brass on front, aluminum on back. Add a little bit of weight. Pull out our 6 scale bolts. And then my scale bolt driver. Line up our holes. Now this one, same thing. You can do it the same way, which I do. You don't have to individually button them up. You can go down and just get them till they're just barely, tightened, or just snugging into it. You don't want to get them all tight right now. You got to get all the bolts in there first. So you can just thread them down until they just stop turning easily. Move out, same pattern. Skip a hole, add bolt. Skip a hole, add a bolt. Skip a bolt, add a bolt. Go 180 degrees into that hole. And then add your bolts into those 3 empties. Again, same things. Just down until it's just snug. Till it just touches. Skip a bolt, go to the empty hole. Same thing until it just touches and snugs. Skip a bolt, go to the empty hole. Get that done up. Now, because they're all in there, they're all basically snug. You can give them, again, just a little, one after the other. Right in line. Going clockwise. Clockwise to me in my face. And that's it. Do that 4 times, and you've got 4 tires. So you see the treads are all pointed the same way. And of course, what did I do? We're pointed the same way, dumbass. Treads are all pointed the same way. Whoops. Just seen it come up and pointed the same way, and then of course you pull them out. You got your faces. So this is a right and left directional. This is the front. This is my brass. Again, same thing. Treads pointing the same way. Center's pointing downward. Center's middle. So that's it. That's how you do it. So we're going to move a few things here. I am still waiting for the YURCEC, also now called, they got a different name. They are called Overreach Designs. You can find them on Overreach Designs. I'm waiting for my links to get here. Still not here yet. They've been in Chicago since like Wednesday last week. So I'm still kind of waiting for them a week later. Get from the airport to me. So I'm going to move these things actually a little bit. Put one here. Move you back here. So I don't necessarily have everything done up yet. However, we can get some of this stuff on. No use not to. Let's see. 8. The Vanquish has released their aluminum pieces here for the stuff. I'm probably going to end up taking these back off once I get things done, but I do want to kind of put them on and see how they look, see how everything kind of looks. Say I don't have my CRC links, so I can't get my steering all set up. I've got the turbo's horns on and centered. Ooh. Okay. Just get them on until they're snug. So the bolt doesn't move anymore. It's like I say, I'll probably end up having to pop it off real quick and okay, good enough. Give them all a little, just a little, make sure they're tight, not falling off easy. Of course they won't, those are lock nuts. Good enough for what it's for the moment. So yeah, there we go. 4 wheels all set up and ready to roll. Say they actually look pretty good for being 4-wheel steer. Do a little bit of adjusting and stuff. Get everything in place once it's in place, but for now, that'll work. She's broken. Of course, been doing a little work. I painted my Rams yellow. Put on the H-Tech clamps. They came in yesterday. So I went ahead and put them on. Added the scale bolts came in yesterday. Or actually, the H-Techs, I think I got those on Monday or Tuesday. Monday, I think it was. Yeah, they were here Monday. Scale bolts came in yesterday from Vanquish, which is nice. I ordered the stuff Friday, either early Friday morning or late Thursday night, and it got here yesterday on Monday in Michigan from Washington or Northern California. So that was nice to see that stuff come in quick with all the stuff going on. So I got all my scale bolts on, got my H-Tech clamps on. You can see here with my scale bolts up there. Of course, these will all come out as soon as they release the steering knuckles in about another 2 weeks, it sounds like, maybe 3 weeks. The knuckles ought to be available and ready. And of course, I'll be redoing things a little bit because I'll be putting the knuckles on. They don't have 2 front axles and a rear axle to actually do something else with. We'll see. So anyways, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and knock off this. I want to say thanks for hanging out. Take a moment, slam that like button, hit that thumbs up, mash the subscribe button if you would. That would be really great. And then turn around and hit that bell and choose all so you do get notifications. I appreciate it. If I see that you've subscribed to me and you're an RC guy, I'll subscribe back. If you're not an RC guy or girl or person, whichever, I'll probably still subscribe back. Unless you got like really nothing going on in your channel, you're just a viewer. There are a few of those. Most of us are kind of viewers and makers. We're doing a little bit of stuff, leaving comments about all sorts of things. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and head off. I want to say thanks for hanging out, and we will talk to you on the next one ASAP. Talk to you soon.